there are so many 250 point models and they all just giggle and kill 5 Marines on demand. This guy doesn't.
Listen up, Umi. This is a podcast with the most ducker. This is Forge the Narrative.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forge the Narrative. It's been a couple of weeks, and I'll tell you why. My name is Paul Murphy. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
G'day, everyone.
And Tanya Gates.
Hey, everybody.
We are Bella Souls podcast. Welcome, everybody. Adepticon, some technical difficulties, getting into the details, but I hope y'all enjoyed the coverage from Adepticon. Had some great games of Warhammer 40,000 on them. It was a fun ride. 4 games a day, so you got plenty of Warhammer to go back and catch up on if you didn't catch any of it. But also just a wonderful event there in Milwaukee. Was happy to be a part of that, and I missed y'all listening and watching, and I missed y'all on the show. How y'all been?
I'm really good. I missed you guys too. I was at Play on Tabletop helping keep the recording going while almost every single one of the talent staff was at Adepticon. So I unfortunately missed a lot of the Adepticon coverage, but I was having fun anyway.
Well, I mean, come on, more Warhammer more often. It's going to happen everywhere.
That's right.
I want to talk about some things that have gone on. Well, one, we've seen some stuff from the preview. We haven't talked about the preview. I want to talk a little about. I know people have probably already formed their opinions and already decided what their favorite model is. So I'm not even going to ask. I do want to know. Well, leave your favorite model in the comment from the preview. But they also talked a little bit about what the new edition coming out might be, and it has got people scratching their heads. Some is like, am I going to have to change stuff? What's going on?
I think that. Generally, I've been through a few editions now, and if you hang out in Warhammer spaces, there's going to be kind of 3 camps. The first camp is the people that are excited about everything that they've seen. The next camp is the people who hate everything that they've seen, and then I'm kind of like in the middle, and like, some things are good, and some things I'm not sure about, but I'm holding off making that judgment call till I see everything.
Same here. Naturally, Paul and I know a little bit of things, but not that much. Like, legitimately, I do not know a lot of what is coming. I know enough to be excited is pretty much where I'm at, where they keep Paul and I in a perpetual hype mode, wanting to always be injecting you guys with that goodness. And look, change is good. We see editions change. Right now, this will be the 4th edition we've seen change in a 3-year increment. And if you've been honest with us from the journey of the modern era of the game, we started off with 8th edition, you know what you're in. The cogs are going to turn, but it's not going to flip that dramatically, especially now that we know we're keeping our codexes.
That's pretty exciting with the fact that the way that you, if you're comfortable with an army list, you'll probably get at least most of that going into new edition, which is not something that everyone has had that comfort of having.
Yeah, and I actually am really excited that we're going to have more ways to play our detachments as well, being able to take multiple detachments and get multiple benefits from those detachments is very exciting to me. And I think that in itself is going to be a great improvement over the index hammer that we had to start with.
I can see that.
Yeah, totally agree. We have editions where essentially they wipe the slate clean and we have to relearn everything from the ground up. I don't believe that's going to be the case for this one from what we've seen. In fact, a lot of, especially now, so we've had the preview, we've had some terrain rules previewed, and I had some mission and detachment rules previewed as well. So the picture is starting to come together. We're still going to be building armies inside detachments. That's already something that has not changed. And then how we do that will influence how we get points playing the game. And I find it very interesting how they've linked all this together in that you'll design your list. And then I like the fact that the way you design your list means that you get points enshrined for playing thematically as your list should, rather than no matter what units you take, they all want to stand on these circles and then take your opponent off their circles. That's pretty much what the entire of this edition has been. And then whatever the cards make you do. It's all the same stuff. Like Eldari, they don't care what comes off the top of the deck. They're going to have the reach and the explosiveness to go and do it. But then you play something like a Custodes army that's all foot slogging. You're like, well, that objective better be within checks notes 6 inches so I can do an action when I get there. Otherwise, it's out of reach, baby. And that just seems so counterintuitive that no matter what army and what faction you play, you all have to do the same stuff. And I like this a lot better because at least it's injecting some good narrative goodness back into all levels of the.
Yeah, I like it also. It's like you match up, against your opponent, and that determines some of that, and the disposition that you choose, which is going to be, I think, fun for people to play into, to give more identity to their armies, and what they choose to model, and what the models they choose to get. Don't know anything about that, but it sounds, like it's more engagement, more depth, more attachment to the things that you spend the most time hobbying and doing and playing and stuff. So that sounds pretty good to me. And I think there's also like that. When the initial information started getting out there that it might, like, we might be at the faction objectives of old or whatever, I think there was, Adam, you back me up, wasn't there like a Dark Angel one that was like very difficult for players to when it was that the faction detachment, but it's not, it's still all factored into the core and the balance of the game from what we can tell. And
Yeah, exactly right. We had those faction secondaries were just like free points or impossible points, and there was very little in the middle. I remember when they revamped the Necron ones, which were very, very, very bad. They essentially were like, "Did you die? No, have some points." There you go. Congratulations.
I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. So, but we're going to keep our eyes peeled to the Warhammer community page just as much as y'all do, or y'all are. This is exciting. It's a good time, and I love the fact that I can probably play an army type that I'm really digging on, and I'm curious to see how it all comes together with the various. Another thing, the starter preview, some of the models. I gotta say that I'd love to see that whole starter set.
I bet you would.
I would. I would love to see
beautiful
that.
red models.
I'd love to see that whole starter set. I really would. But they're giving us a little bit at a time. But not that we haven't had a lot to digest with all the stuff. I really did not expect that many Terran vehicles in one shot. I did not.
Yeah, I can't say that I love some of the look of some of them. Very much going with the basing it off the Taurox chassis and building off that, which isn't my most favorite of chassis. It has grown on me like a nice juicy cancer, but and I have become much more akin to it in recent years. But definitely on release, that was a bit of a jarring design spectrum. And now they're building off it. And look, I don't think guard players needed more transports and hulls, but I ain't gonna complain, baby. Bring it on.
To me, though, let's say we're playing into a theme here. I really like those. They look like they would go really well with Catachin. And Catachin is my flavor of guard. And I like some of those smaller, looking more maybe dynamic tanks, as well as those types of transports you might see from that, like kind of jungle atmosphere.
Oh, the Hippogriff has won my heart. That thing is incredible. I love the way it looks. I love those chonky tires. I'm gonna get a few.
Yeah, I'm definitely more. I'm very keen on the Hippogriff because surprisingly, I find the Hippogriff sits pretty good. If it is what it looks like it is, because I haven't seen the rules yet. If there is actually a bit of a gap in the Adeptus Ashtamil time range, where you go from a Sentinel to a Lehman Russ. There's only the Hellhound in between, and Hellhound is a very particular tank.
And Chimeras, and Hydras,
A Chimera is an APC. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a transport.
Oh, not a tank.
We don't have a pseudo medium tank. And although the Dawn has made the Lehman Russ feel more like a medium tank, it isn't. It isn't. And so having something between like a Sentinel that is just gun and the Lehman Russ that is just gun, it feels good. It feels right. It feels like it's our sitting in our land speeder kind of role.
I'm interested to see if it's a little bit fast. I'd be really interested to know if it kind of fits into like a fast attack kind of slot, because it doesn't have treads, right? Although tanks do go very fast in real life here, but I don't know.
See, Red, we're still talking, but Red will be back as soon as
it's but yeah, I'm interested to see if it maybe gives us a couple extra inches of movement to get around the board. Be good for me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Agree.
But I mean, look, I love that you're justifying the fact that it just fits in the range. It also just looks cool, And again, something else that also happens to seem like it'd do really well in the jungle.
And it also comes with a variety of different gun options that they said. So it could fill a number of different like spots within your army. It could offer solutions to something that you're having a problem with.
It's definitely got that front plate there on the turret that is more like the real. So I wonder if we'll see them all move towards that direction. Just design wise, because it does look a little bit different than the Lehman turret for sure.
I'm into it. I mean, that Lehman turret is very old, so some innovation is fine for me.
Fair enough. No, and I just didn't expect to see that many Astra Militarum vehicles and the kill team. I do like how they're leaning into that PE element in kill team to where you can, like, I guess, assuming seemingly maybe play fight against the Red Terror and somebody plays the Red Terror or the Dungeon Master of the Red Terror model.
Mm-hmm. And those models are amazing. Like, I have a teeny tiny little force of Tyranids, but I'm probably going to pick up that Red Terror because I want to paint that so bad.
So you got that
toxic amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. It looks real intimidating. And what is it kind of like pushing out where it's like busting out maybe?
I might say something like controversial here, but I feel like that's the snake tail that Fulgrim wishes he had. Right? It looks like really dangerous. It's like curled up on itself. It's like mid-strike, Fulgrim is great, but that model is perfection.
Oh my goodness. Look, and we got to jump over to Sigmar too, because out of the mortal realms has come the new Stampa,
Yeah.
That cockboard is impressive.
It is. Yeah. It's really funny because I'm in a few orc communities, and as soon as that thing was previewed, you could hear the wahs. You could hear them through the internet. All the orc players went insane.
Yeah, Adam, I think I heard you say this on the Meta Chasers, but something like Call's Moving Castle or something like that.
Yeah, Hal's Shooting Castle.
Oh, there you go. Yes,
Hal's Shooting Castle, depending on what you want to put inside it.
But that was when asking people what their favorite, that was even if they didn't play Sigmar, that's high also, because it's so like it's like a story in a box all by itself. Mm-hmm. Like there's a whole environment, and I'm like too many models on that model. I don't know if but at the same time it's like it seems to be like really cool, really cool.
I would like to take a moment to shout out the heavy metal painter that painted that thing. That is one of the nicest like promotional paint jobs that I've seen in a very, very long time. And that's saying something because all of the team puts out such phenomenal work, but that for me was a standout piece in the past, I don't even know, over a year. Just blown away.
It's so detailed. It's so neat. And apparently different configurations from what we see from what they've got there, but it looks it's like a reason to play, that like, oh, I only need 2 models and they're this awesome. Maybe I don't what do I know how many models you need, but it seems like it probably would take up a lot of points from the sheer amount of weaponry on that thing. Let's see what else. Again, being there in the room with the preview, what they did was, now I get it. What went out to the internet was a little not maybe indicative of what was all happening in the room. But when you came into the room, you got a red shirt or a green shirt, and you sat on one side of the room or the other. And so you're declaring your allegiance in the Armageddon campaign there, and it was a neat experience. So it's if you are able to get to something like the Adepticon preview, they did a lot, made it a real cool thing, and then at the end of it they gave out a little pack of one of each of the sprue, the Orc Boy sprue, the Space Marine sprue, the Intercessor.
Oh, they made it like an actual event for people to remember. That's really cool.
Yeah. And then being in the room and seeing it all, it's really neat. I mean, there were seemingly thousands of people in there. It was definitely a full hall.
I need to know, was it like a split 50-50? How did it look? How many red shirts were there?
It was a pretty much split, when you came into the room. When you came in, you could go down series of aisles for the red shirts, series of aisles for the green shirts, and people were definitely choosing like, whoop, nope, over here, nope, over here.
Where were you sitting, Tanya? You green or red?
That's really tough for me, right? Because my first love is the Imperium in Astra Militarum, but my second love is orcs, right? So, but every time I play against Blood Angels, I lose. So I guess I would have to join the orc side.
Good. It's the
Yeah.
correct answer.
Good.
Look,
about you,
I want
Adam?
to.
I would sit green just out of resentment that Armageddon is all about the guard. I still
That's
injected his mob into it.
What do you mean? There were blood angels there. There are salamanders and space wolves.
Look,
And,
Templars. There's been Templars there. There's been Grey Knights, infamously, and Space Wolves. And not once, baby. You're gonna let it be all about the guard. Still just about Emperor's pseudo finest.
Yarrick's back.
Pseudo finest.
Exactly.
I should say back.
Look,
Apparently, he never
if
left.
there is one unimpeachable truth, imperial truth, is that everyone thinks they're the finest, the Emperor's finest. Everyone in the Imperium, from the servitor up into the custodian, everyone's like, I'm the elite of the elite.
There we go. Oh, but we're starting to get some models previewed from the starter set, and I think it's the starter set's going to knock it out of the park. I get it. Yes, listen, Mr. James Workshop. I also have been putting MK7 heads on intercessors, but that's not. Everyone knows the starter set's gonna blow us out of the water. That's the way it's been. It's a good way to get some models get into, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of them.
Well, just going off past starter boxes, like past edition box, the last three, oh my God, they've been so beyond any other. The last three have eclipsed all others, from Indomitus all the way down to this edition's one. They've just been absolutely insane.
That's where we first got Blade Guard.
Correct.
Starter set.
Yep. All the new Necrons, all the new Tyranids that have come out in the last two sets, in addition to, just Marines just getting expanded. And they've all been like pretty much must buys for those faction players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So looking forward to it. Of course, we're not sure when things are coming about, but they've been putting out pretty frequent releases on the Warhammer community site. So you're going to keep looking at that. Look, this is actually just the preamble of the show. We're going to talk about Defilers and the new Knight in this episode. We're going to rank the top 5 Defilers. In part 2
for more
of the show. But let's talk about the new Knight. Look, I thankfully have had the opportunity. Games Workshop's kind enough to send one about built. I should have grabbed it, but it's right over there. It is not. It's like weirdly, all the Knights are basically the same height except the Helverins and the War Dogs, but yet somehow they still look like magically different silhouettes next to each other, which I think is cool. And this is no different. And I went with I armed it with just the shooting stuff because I think Imperial Knight shooting stuff seems to do pretty good most of the time. But Adam, I know you've got some practical experience with this thing, so let's talk about the stats and then what your take is.
Yeah, I have windmill slammed this guy into a bunch of lists, and I'm about 9 reps in on this chassis, playing either a single or multiple. So I'm pretty well versed on what this guy can do so far.
We're talking about the Knight Destroyer.
Yeah, Destria, Destroyer, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
A lot of R's, a lot of vowels in this.
Tanya, what is it in Canada?
Potato. I don't think that there is any set pronunciation for
Judicia or Judica.
I've heard it both ways.
I go back and forth sometimes in the same sentence.
Yeah.
It
depends. I try. So let me tell you the secret is that I try to estimate what my opponent would call it, and that's what I call.
I would do so much worse if I attempted.
Be Australian is that we're
not much wriggle room in our vocabulary. It's mostly grunts. But anyway, the Destria is a powerhouse. It is very good. It comes in with a beautiful movement 12, toughness 10, 18 wounds, a saving 3 up, 5 up, you know and love. OC 8 is a big deal, getting over the OC 5 hump, which also the Warglaives do, but efficiently, so to speak. But I like this guy. Now, I like this guy in only 2 configurations. After playing a bunch of games with it, I've played a bunch of games with 3, and I took a melee one, a shooting melee, and a double melee in the all the configuration and multiple reps. I I do not love the one gun, one melee. I like the double down one way or the other.
I went with double gun on this build because I felt like this very similar. Now, look,
Yeah.
let's talk about the other like special rules, and we'll get into the weapon things. And because there's the ramjets rule, you think like as you move an extra. So what did it? So the rules here, it gets the Code Chivalric Super Heavy Walker. It is only available to Imperialites at the moment. So sorry, Chaos Knight player, try to be loyal next time. But the ramjets, each time this unit is selected to make a normal or advanced move until the end of the phase, add D3 to the move characteristic of this model.
Awesome. So it says 12 on the box. It moves 12. It actually, in all reality, moves minimum 13 up to 15.
Yeah, and every time, like you don't have to spend anything to do that. It just does it. And then it's got another rule here, which also leads itself the Thunder Charge. If this model is equipped with a Thundershock Spear and a Bellastar's Reaper Chainsword, add 2 to the attached characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model.
It is a real good, in addition to all of its guns coming with assault. So it has good upside if you go all guns, and it gets a bonus if it goes all DACA, which is, of course, where Paul and I are coming to. There is a new, and the one that is my favorite, most favoritist, is there is an enhancement, because of course these guys are characters, in the new Freeblade Lance detachment, which they've already previewed and is already available for everyone to go and see over on Warhammer Community in the Imperial Knights faction pack, if you haven't bought the Eye of Terror supplement, that is. And it has an enhancement that gives you +2 attacks, +1 to hit, baby. So this guy slams with 8 attacks and has +1 to hit. So see this guy behind me? See that huge lance that's right there? That is, I've got a Knight Lance as my backdrop. Who's
for the podcasters, thank you.
Yeah. Who is House Orlac, bestest house. And it's got this gigantic lance. You see that gigantic lance? 5 attacks. See this guy who's half his size? 8 attacks. There is an issue here. There is an issue.
With a good stat profile.
Dude,
not as strong, I don't think.
Yeah, you want to hit us with it? But the lance.
Yeah, so the Thundershock Spear has a strike and a sweep profile. The strike is 4 attacks base, weapon skill 3+, strength 12, neg 3 AP, damage is D3 +3. The sweep also has lance, is 8 attacks, weapon skill 3+, strength 6, neg 3 AP, 2 damage.
Yes. So against anything that isn't, say, a Rogel Dawn, and in all reality, this guy still domes a Rogel Dawn. The configuration I mentioned with the enhancement still straight domes a Rogel Dawn, a Land Raider, tops to bottom it. He's better than the Lancer in melee against the vast majority of targets. He's nowhere near as durable. But hey,
worse than vulnerable save. It'll be like there are comparisons you can make, but
yeah.
Yes.
But if you are just taking a thing that is like that thing's dead, and then if I die, I die. If I'm just sending like one of my knights on a one-way mission to go beat up one of your best things, man, I'm going to do it for 100 less points, 120 less points with that configuration I just made. Can I also mention in the same detachment, your configuration, the double gun, which has 12 shots at 612, or D6 +3, rapid fire D6 +3 at 712.
Assault blast. And blast. So
yeah. And people are like, oh man, knights struggle to kill this AC DC unit behind a wall. That's a unit of accursed cultists behind a wall. Well, there is a stratagem available for the Freeblade Lance that points at the Destria and says, you don't make an advance roll, you move 9 extra inches. And this guy already moved 12. He's just gonna go 21, look behind that wall and blitz the whole thing there. Gargoyles getting you down, Termagant's getting in the way, people playing recon guard. This guy just sends it,
right?
and just
the ramjets still work on a normal move.
And you can also take your oath bonus, have +2 move, +1 defense, +1. So you can just be like, see that thing behind a wall 27 inches away? What if you didn't want him anymore? You just one CP, send this boy out there, and he will do great jobs. I will say the reason I've been disappointed with the one gun, one melee variant is that the melee doesn't have enough attacks for my liking against things with invulns, and a lot of them have invulnerable saves, and then doesn't shoot enough for my mind to clear the things that I want to clear. The example I have is that I needed to clear 5 incursors off an objective. I couldn't charge them because he was using terrain appropriately. It would have been a really long charge to go around, so my Destria just walked up and used towering to see through. I've got 12 shots. I'm hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s at strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage, ignores cover. I killed 2 guys. And I'm like, name another 250 point unit that, because he armor contempted. The Ignore's cover doesn't matter. He still just takes a 3 up. And then high rolled me by 1. I actually don't average to kill all 5 of them, even if I do all the stuff. And so I was looking at it, I'm like, there are so many 250 point models and they all just giggle and kill 5 Marines on demand. This guy doesn't. If he had the other gun, if he was double gun, he probably...
What you need is a frag bombard.
It probably does. If he's got 2 guns, probably does take care of them.
Also,
or if
he's got the saturation fire rule as well. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets a unit within range of 1 or more objective markers, the attack has the ignore cover ability.
Yeah, it is a good rule, and
that's not on one gun. That's on all guns. That just has that rule.
Yeah. Can I also tell you that rule looks a lot better next to it? From what we can tell, when Ignore's cover is ignoring a -1 to hit, which is people are getting instead of the +1 save. And so they're not going to have the +1 save to worry about, and you're going to ignore the -1, the -1 to hit for netting a cover. So it actually looks pretty saucy if it works as we think.
But does it have the towering keep, the big knights?
It does.
All right, new edition. It's looking pretty good then.
Plunging fire.
Plunging fire. So you're going to get +1 in that ballistic skill. Nice.
Yeah, it's going to rock up, ignore your cover penalty, and hit you on 2s, and just... I like it. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me too.
No, still a knight, and it's in the night. Has if you can deal with knights, you can deal with this thing. But I think it does add some cool difference because when you're especially Imperial Knights, you've kind of only got like 2 ways to build the army. It's like a hybrid of the big and smalls are all bigs, and this is giving you a little bit of extra play in there, I think.
So what I love about Destria is that so often if you're playing a big knight-esque formation of your army or detachment, whatever edition, you'll find yourself having to put a piece out turn 1. One of your pieces will have to go out on turn 1 to score you points, get the tempo of the game going. Usually, if you're playing like your 5 bigs Questoris or 5 large knights Questoris list, you're chucking out a 400-point piece turn to get just the trading game going. If you chucked out a small knight, a warglaive, it's not threatening enough to your opponent to reward you by getting their premium anti-tank invested into the game earlier so that you can remove it and hopefully then just start rolling downhill with a bunch of models they struggle to kill. The Destria sits not right in that sweet spot where some armies need to use their best anti-tank to kill it, and they can't just ignore it like they possibly can with a warglaive by just throwing 10 cultists or guardsmen onto the objective and being like, you don't kill me fast enough, I'm going to hold the objective over you with OC. So the Destria sits beautifully into the tempo of how knights play.
When you were mentioning that Rokeldor scenario, I thought about mentioning then, it's like they will likely have to commit more than one thing to kill it because it doesn't line up that way. I mean, obviously things can one-shot other things, but it's going to be either a super premium piece or multiples of something that is taken away from their ability to score.
Exactly right. And that's what you want. You don't want your opponent, having been playing knights maining for them for the past 12 months, you don't want your opponent holding, double landford activations over your head all game. You want to get one of their better anti-tank pieces into the game and then removed as soon as you can, and then start trying to play an overwhelm style from turns 2 through 4, where you're just throwing high durability chassis at them, and then somewhere they're going to roll under, and you're going to take advantage of that and start getting the advantage, and things going, like I said, downhill, so to speak. And the Destria fits perfectly into that play style, and that's what I've learned after playing it to 9 games. I took it to played an RTT last weekend as well with the new detachment, and won the thing. So that was nice. It was cute. It was only 14 players. It's not like a big notable thing.
Hey, a win is a win. We celebrate all wins around here. All good things.
Then thank you. I am indeed the champion of the world at a 14-player RTT.
You too can print yourself out a trophy and parade. Okay. In any case, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and rank the top 5 Defilers in just a moment. See you in a second. Listen to our word from our sponsors.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back. If you're listening to this on YouTube or watch this other video, check it out. No matter when you found us, please also go check out our sponsors. They're amazing to the show, and really appreciate y'all checking them out. It's a great price to get like pre-orders for some of the things. Now look, this was last week when these things, but they're like, it's becoming like increasingly more important to get the pre-orders to make sure you get them all as you want. when you want them on time, and reaching out to these providers that are able the direct line to get some of this stuff is a big deal. So please check them out. They're also very kind to the show, and that means a lot to us. So as promised, top 5 defilers in the universe, and I think we'd be, let's get off to the right start. Let's give an honorable mention to the top 5 defilers, and that would be to the humble soul grinder. Is an honorable mention here?
Yeah,
Everybody forgets about the soul grinder.
I
They
know.
come in and out of favor, right? I
Oh.
think they also they do have like a collection of stats sometimes that can be difficult for an opponent to deal with. But no, there's just so many more compelling things in right now, I think.
One more, which I believe has been legended at this point, the Plague Hulk.
Yeah, Plague Hulk is.
RIP, pour one out.
If you still have one and you used it as a defiler, I don't think anyone would say anything.
It's a cool model. I would want you to use it.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So speaking of it leads us into number 5. Number 5 on the list is the Death Guard Defiler.
Now, before we make everyone mad, I will tell you, defilers are good.
Oh yeah,
just because you're 4th and 5th place doesn't mean you shouldn't take a defiler. They're amazing in all ways. We're just grading them on which one is a fundamental winner for the entire army as a whole.
I shouldn't. No, look, there are no caveats for this. Number 5 is Death Guard. No.
So for the fact that the Death Guard one doesn't do anything special or add anything extra to the play patterns of the army.
The Death Guard are already special. It does have lethal hits, because they got gross bullets is a cool. The special rule for it on the other side though, basically denying the benefit of cover is not necessarily what you need. So in your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of these attacks until the end of the phase. The unit cannot have the benefit of cover. So it's like after you've shot, you nominate somebody gets benefit of cover or lose the benefit of cover, and that's not a great rule compared to what the rest of the army can do.
If I'm assuming people are watching the show have looked at the defiler rule, very few times you're going to shoot at something and not kill it. If you pick the right guns to put on your defiler, because naturally the thing is a whole shebang of pick whatever you want guns wise, you can really tailor it to suit what you want. And if you're shooting the things you took the guns for it to shoot at, it's probably dead and cover didn't matter.
Lethal hits too, So
yeah. And so for the reasons that it is still extremely strong, but doesn't necessarily bring anything new to the Death Guard package, I believe it comes in at number 4.
So like anything that is fast, and this thing moves 12, so I can still see reasons. So we're like talking about this is an awesome thing. Like if you want to play with a defiler, you will not go too far off the
you guys, this is the top 5 list. They're all top. Just some are more top than others.
That's a great point.
Said. There's only 5 variants, which is why this is tongue in cheek.
But as a Death Guard player, I feel like I've got to I feel like I occasionally want to play with a defiler. And I'm just saying of the defilerist of defileries, this is coming in at number 5. Number 4 is going to be the Emperor's Children defiler.
So this was an interesting one because this is the reverse of the Death Guard one, where I believe the Emperor's Children data sheet for a defiler is kind of the worst of the data sheets of the defiler, but it is one of the best ones for the army that it's in. Because that big old dinner plate that the defiler comes on? Oh no, I can't move it through walls and do stuff. Well, what if you could just advance and shoot, advance and charge because you're in Emperor's Children, and all the downsides of you being a defiler just freaking just fade away and disappear.
Look, I got to make a point here about since you brought up the base size and Emperor's Children. We're talking about Emperor's Children and base sizes. People have been giving Fulgrim crap for a long time about that base size that he's on. But I also want to point out Rodriguez is on the same base size, and we see him everywhere. Is it the base size or is it is it y'all? That's what
it is a very pompous base size.
I guess it just
require more area than
I can respect that.
But for that phase, the Emperor's Children defiler gets precision, whoop-de-doo, but it goes through the walls. It uses the crab ability better than any of the other ones, gets to the fight and delivers itself better than all the other 4. And for that reason, and for the fact that I think it's a fundamental piece that you kind of haven't had something that does something like this, it is a Forge Fiend and a Mauler Fiend had a baby, and Emperor's Children do not have the Forge Fiend. For that reason and that reason alone, I think is a fundamental injection into
That's a
Emperor's
good point.
Children.
I think you can actually make like a big vehicle for children, and this would
Yeah.
fit right in that. And the
Well,
Revel and Desecration is a special rule here. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that is not below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll.
it is not bad. One of the biggest reasons, so the mainstay of competitive detachment for Emperor's Children is the coterie of the Conceited. Now, one of the issues with the coterie is you need to get your tally up in order to access the buffs. So you need to get kills. You need to devote kills
That
to
you have
Sinesh.
nominated, like, you call your shot. I'm going to do
Yeah,
this.
exactly right. Exactly right. Turn 1 and 2, usually it requires you throwing away a unit to try and get 2 kills. Now, what can a Defiler do? Defiler can advance and charge out on turn 1 or turn 2 and kill 3 things. Straight up can kill 3 things. If it gets to shoot its guns at a thing, that thing is almost certainly dead, possibly a second thing. And if it charges someone, that thing is dead unless it's a big knight like this guy behind me. And so it is just a beautiful turn 1, rack up the coterie cost, rack up the buff pace as well. And it does it with a single activation, which is a very hard thing for Emperor's Children players to.
Like that number 3 on the list, the humble generic Chaos Space Marine.
The reason this guy is here is because the giant well of detachments that Chaos Space Marines have access to is a real pick your freaking poison. Like Pac Benzelet, give it lethal crits, lethal sustained critical 5s with rerolls. Put it in Renegade Raiders and let it have assault and then plus the hit against things on objectives and a bunch of amazing stratagems. Chuck it wherever you want. And for that reason only, like the playbook is so expansive. We had to put it as one of the better ones.
Chaos Space Marines are great, completely versatile, and seeing them get a lot of play. And I think like the game seems cool. Chaos Space Marines are awesome.
I also really like the ability, the Demon Forge ability. I mean, this guy plus Vashdor just seems like a match made in heaven in any of Vashdor's amazing or any of the vehicle-based detachments. But each time this model makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, each time this model makes an attack, reroll 1s to wound. In addition, once per battle, when this unit makes a Dark Pact, before rolling the leadership test, you can declare it's going to overcharge. Very Orc-esque. And if the leadership test is failed, you take 3 mortals instead of D3. But until the end of the phase, each time you make an attack, you re-roll the wound roll, the entire wound. And so it is not too hard to get some reroll to hit in there to really get those lethals and sus moving. And then on the back end, you get rerolls once per game as well. I think this is a very powerful pick.
All right, now we're coming into the more hotly contested section of this list, and this is where there's some debate. Like we almost had to stop the show. Like there was, you got down to we have some discussion, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Reveal the number 2 Defiler on our list, and that number 2 Defiler on the list is the World Eater.
Tell me the story. What's it do?
So this one has one of those rules that you got to think. It's like, okay, we don't see this very often here. So it has Unleash Wrath. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, you can select one enemy unit that was set up on the battlefield within 12 inches of this model. This model can then either shoot at that unit, but only if it's an eligible target. Obviously, targeting was whatever. Declare a charge against that unit. Note that even if this charge is successful, the model does not receive any charge bonus this turn. So big deal. It's got huge claws. That's enough bonus. It got to do it, and it's in your face, and you got to deal with it. But I think this makes it one of the best backfield defenders in the game. Just period. And you're already kind of probably want to have this hanging back a little bit, as you probably took this to do that already. And it has the extra bonus of this really dramatic out of phase effect, which you do not see very often. Now it does have the World Eater's treatment of ballistic skill being different, but it's also got the wrappings, of course.
Yeah. So it shoots worse, but has more shot. Once again, how very orky of them. It really
but
is.
It's like, come on, 18 wounds that you can cram in your opponent's face for your opponent trying to do something like score an objective or get a secondary or whatever. And you're like, oh, no points for you. And I think that's a very, very powerful ability.
Well, it turns off everybody's 6-inch deep strikes. Just turns it off. You cannot use that ability within range of the Defiler because it will just charge you in your turn. And you spent a CP and you spent a command point to do that. You spent a command point to get charged in your turn and dead. That sounds like one of the worst command points I have ever heard.
And it's at the end of the movement phase too. So it's not like they get to come down and potentially do anything.
Correct. You don't even get to shoot.
And then it prompts you to do it, or whatever. They come down within 12. You get some stuff.
And the psychological damage of having that in your opponent's head. So the only reason I have this one lower is because the way it's used is kind of counterintuitive to the World Eater's ideology. As in, like, I'm going to take this giant demon constructed thing and put it on my backfield.
So the reason that I eventually there are no guarantees. You don't get to just do it. You might whiff, you might not make the charge, and it would be a long charge. And then you are subject to whatever your opponent was trying to do.
And the only other downside as well is that this is a data sheet that is quite susceptible to -1 because it hits on force without really any way that I know of to easily in the taken detachments to give it pluses to hit or rerolls to hit. That if someone is just rocking around with 5 aspect warriors with stealth, you might all of a sudden not kill them, which is not something that any of the other defilers can. They pretty much auto dome those guys in any of the other configuration, and so stealth becomes an issue as well. But still, this guy absolutely cranks, does something that's so unique in the game. It's the only model in the game that does what it does, so it has to be up there.
And I think that on those games to where you make all your rolls, or your opponent doesn't get to do what they want to do, you've warped what 2 or 3 turns of the game might be just because that ability exists. Then this easily moves one slot, but it is situated. And the number one, if you're following along, let us know what your pick is. But this would be the Thousand Suns Defiler. With the Destroy Your Futures rule, each time you target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem, hits are scored on an unmodified roll of 5+ when resolving that shooting stratagem. For each of those attacks that target an enemy unit within 9 inches or 1 or more Thousand Suns Psychers units from your army, a hit is scored on an unmodified 4+ instead.
1 CP shoot twice is how that reads to me if you line it up correctly, and that is enormous. There's very few times you could say that this edition or in previous editions, whereas in 8th edition, it was all the time. You just spend some CP and you shot again. This is in your opponent's head. I need to have a 9 inches no-go zone around my opponent's psychers to not just die in my turn, in my shooting, my movement or charge phase. And that is a huge deal when so many armies need to charge this thing to kill it, dude. And in addition to that, it doesn't stop there for the Thousand Suns. They also are the most durable one. Don't tell me why that's the case. And then the Death Guard one isn't the most durable one. But the Thousand Suns one is because it comes with a 6-up Feel No Pain built in. And of course, because it has 18 wounds, that's on average 21 effective wounds.
21 wounds, yeah.
Could be 24 some games. Who knows, guys? Could do some silly stuff. And lastly, it takes the Thousand Suns army rules like an absolute champion. The extra move, the extra 6-inch move really allows the big old dinner plate to negotiate some corners and get into better positions and set itself up more appropriately. It takes the rerolls to hit from the pseudo Oath of Moment ability, and it takes the extra AP so well because it already has extra AP on all its guns. It doesn't, like, you look at the Death Guard one, which has no extra AP or ignores cover itself. It just gives that to the next thing that shoots it.
Yeah.
This thing just gets extra AP.
Lethal hits sometimes take some of the wound rolls, maybe, but I definitely see your point.
Yeah, it's just got the best built-in stuff, and then when you slap it into what the army can do for it, sky's the limit. So number one for me is the Thousand Suns, and I had to tell Paul that entire thing, and he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty good, I guess."
I guess it's good. The other thing's got to roll 12s, whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
You got to live the dream sometimes, though. You got to. But I do think that the Defiler is going to make its way into army lists, like regardless. Like we said the top 5, but all these are as far as like what they can do.
And if you have qualms about it, go onto Warhammer Community and look at the terrain maps that they've shown us literally today about some of the stuff we're going to be playing on. Because this guy has some logistical issues right now. In some of the ruins he can move over, some can't move over, have to go around, all that stuff. I was looking at those maps and I'm like, this dude just moves in straight lines, no issues. Let's see. Whoop, 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 whoop. So even if you have some worries about using it logistically at the moment on some of those you play on, man, the model is so good, and I reckon it's going to have some real big upsides come next.
I'm looking forward to like getting some of these on the table. In my mind, I was talking about I like to dabble in the chaos every now and then. I got a cool aesthetic, got a Death Guard army, but I'm like, oh man, what First Children cool with like all these big monsters and stuff.
And this is a question for both of you. Is this the biggest model glow up we've ever seen? The previous best was Be'lakor.
Yeah.
The previous best glow up was Be'lakor. Now, I would say that old Be'lakor model looks better than the old Defiler. As nostalgic as I am for it, it was a terrible looking thing. Is this the biggest glow up we've ever seen for a 40k minute?
That's a good question. It's definitely got to be up there. Maybe that's it. Top 5 next week is the top 5 glow ups of all time.
I have some thoughts for sure.
That's going to be a good one. All right, we'll put a pin in that and just let people hopefully salivate. You chuck in yours in the comments. I want to know what you think the biggest blow up of all time in 40k.
Another point of the Thousand Suns, though, is that it also fits in very well with what the Army's doing already. Like, this is like you're just simply adding another piece in there, and this piece also might take some pressure off Magnus. And
that's exactly right.
And that's a big issue as well.
Yeah. Like, now there is the issue of if you wanted to take these two of these and Magnus, you're like, oof, that's 1,000 points in the hole. Can I really do it? Answer is yes, do it. Windmill slam. Yeah. Don't be a coward.
Well, Magnus, I mean, that's kind of how when Magnus is the best is when people take pressure off him for one, or he lives unexpectedly for one extra turn or whatever. It's like the best Magnus on the tabletop.
So what I try and do to Magnus when I play against Magnus is make it so he has to come out, right? Because of course Magnus is going to sit back until you force your opponent to, and he gets better the longer the game goes. Because what Magnus wants to do is come out on turn 3 when you've lost a couple of pieces that are a threat to him, and then he's like la-di-da-di-da, 3 kills a turn, pop, 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 pop. What if someone's put you in a position like, man, I really have to get Magnus into the game on turn 2, and then you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put literally a platter that could hold a whole roast turkey in front of him. And you're going to have to negotiate these 18 wounds if you want to get to Magnus, mate.
18 on paper with a 6+ skill no pain and invulnerable saves. It's not easy.
Correct. Yeah, it is a lot to handle.
Well, there you go.
Question then, if this thing is surprisingly tough in the Thousand Suns army, I know a lot of people bring the Mutalith Vortex Beast to sort of sit on an objective and be very difficult to move, but the output sometimes isn't the best from the beast. Is this going to be able to fulfill the same kind of thing in the list while being more scary in the power output?
I 100% agree. So I've seen there's a lot of Thousand Suns players that take a single or double Mutalith, they take a single or double Forge Fiend or Predator. I think this can absorb all of that juice and turn into Defilers if you want. Sometimes it's better to have more pieces and more activations and more places of influence, and sometimes you can just brick it all into one and be like, deal with it. But the Mutalith also brings the buff of the +1 to cast as well. So I always think the Mutalith's hard to let go of because it gives consistency to the army, which is why I like having Magnus in the army with the Defilers, because Magnus already has the pluses. If you need just the reliable buff piece, you can just lean on Magnus, that big old crutch. He's only got one eyeball, but 2 crutches for Magnus. And the reliability of getting your army rule working really can't leave. So I do still like a Mutalith, but if you've got a bunch of other hulls, I think they can all combine into.
Defilers got 6 guns.
It's got 6 guns and it's got 2 melee weapons. It fights better than all of these guys. Like with the right buffs, it actually fights better than just about all the Imperial Knights, which is very frustrating to me. We'll talk about that another time.
Look, get your little demon inside you.
No.
Hey, Chaos Knights, they've got plenty of demons inside of us. We still don't fight as good as a Defiler for the points.
Oh my goodness. So that is our show this week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Very sorry about missing the previous weeks, but hopefully we've kind of explained why, or you got to catch some of the other Warhammer coverage from Adepticon. Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be back. Going to be hitting it out. Really excited about the new edition coming out. Really excited about everything that is coming out between now and then. Not going to stop. Going to be working on some hobby stuff, and we'll see you all next week, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I don't know what they said, but I already subscribed. You better do it too.